Okay, welcome back to the channel once again. It is the LB podcast, and today we are here to look at Liverpool 2, Monaco 3. We'll also talk about transfers for Liverpool. Araujo has just arrived in Liverpool. I think his medical is ongoing, so we might hear the announcement sometime this week. So, Stana, let's look into the Liverpool game against Monaco. It was a game of two halves once again, just like the game we played against DC United last week. Liverpool scored two in the first half. Goals came from Alexander Isak and Florian Wirtz. It was an enjoyable first half to watch, but the second half was different. It didn't start well with the same players still on the pitch. Even with that, Liverpool were having some challenges. We also conceded a penalty in the first half, by the way. And then they got the equalizer in that second half. We made a lot of changes. The manager took off almost the entire starting 11, brought in some young players, and then we conceded two more goals. So, first of all, what was your impression of the lineup and also the start to the game? How did you see the way the game started and how Liverpool approached this particular friendly game?
Yeah, from the start of the game, I thought the approach was good. From the lineup, it looked to me as though he wanted to go as close as possible as his, let me say, his best possible 11. He tried to play the best possible 11 as close to it as he possibly can. So we saw Virgil in there. We saw maybe aside Semikas at left back. We didn't see Kerkes, but I'm sure Kerkes would be his preferred option in that position. We saw Frimpong, we saw Gravenberg, Sobotla, and then Florian Wirtz. We saw Isak in the number 9, and then Gakpo on the left. So I thought the start was good, intensity was there, we're pressing well, we were bold in stepping out of our defense, going man for man, winning the ball back. The energy was there. I saw Gravenberg winning his duels, which was positive to see. So the start was good. Then we scored the first goal. I felt Podigapo at times showed some solid displays when he received the ball, turned really, really sharp. And so one of his turns attributed to the first goal that we scored, the give and go between Sobosla and Gravenberg to put Isak in to take the first touch and then smash it in the bottom corner for 1-0. So we scored the first goal. And then the second goal also came few minutes afterwards, which was also it turned out to be a scrappy goal by Florian Wirtz, but it was also a good interchange of play. And then we got a second goal, good counter pressing situations. But then, like the previous game and like some of our games during this preseason, immediately we get the second goal. It looks as if the game, I'm not really too sure what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but we lose concentration. We are not as aggressive as we were when the game started, and then we led Monaco back into the game.
Yeah, I wonder if it is a case of tiredness that creeps in the second half because against Leeds United, I remember the conversation was that Liverpool don't have a deep enough squad. The squad depth is quite thin. So the fact that the manager made changes and brought in players who were on the fringes, that is why we lost the game. But today's game shows us that even with the same players, we weren't playing at our very best in the second half. At the beginning of the second half, it wasn't good enough. We couldn't move the ball quickly enough. We weren't aggressive in the tackles like we were in the first half. And after the changes, it remained even the same. It got even worse. So I wonder if there's an issue of tiredness because it is the beginning of the season. Players are still getting back to their full fitness. And that is why we are seeing this.
Yeah, I agree with you. What I do think is that I think the players, the intensity that we start the games with, the players are struggling to maintain the same intensity for long spells. So we do it for 20, 30, 40 minutes, but we can't do it for 60, not to even talk of 90. like you tweeted on X. We can't even do it for 60, not to even talk of 90. So I think that is one major thing, the adaptation to being intense for large spells of the game. I think that is what the players are struggling to adjust to.
Yeah, we saw Alexander Isak get a goal in the first half. Florian Wirtz also got a goal. There was a great link up between the midfield and the attack in that first half, especially. And I think I said earlier on that I think Isak is going to benefit so much from Iraiola's coaching. What do you make of the first few signs that you've seen about how Isak is being used in this Liverpool system by Iraola?
Yeah, I mean, if Andoni Raiola um, improved someone like Dominic Solanke to score 20 Premier League goals, then it means that's a pretty decent record for someone improving an attacker in Solanke. And since then, we've never seen Solanke repeat that feat again. Of course, he's had injuries as well, but it means that if we are going off the back of his track record in terms of improving attacking players, we can bank on the fact that we think Isak, if he stays fit, he will bang in goals. But I am still not very much impressed, mostly because I don't think he's still involved enough. Isak isn't Erling Haaland. He isn't just a finisher. He's a well-rounded attacker who can play, link up play, take the ball, drift into wide areas. But I still don't see him do it as much as I did at Newcastle. So I'd like to see him be involved more. But of course, it's good to see him get on the score sheet.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we are going to get to that point where he gets more involved, he gets more touches in the game, and also scores on top of that. And I think that is something that we are all expecting from him. But I think it is something that will come with time. Other players who impressed today, I think I really like the performance of Lewis Kumas on the right hand side. In Duque in the defense, I also really enjoyed his performance. I think he's a very smart defender. He reads the game very, very well for his age, and he's also very good on the ball. I really like that about his game. Who else caught your eye in this particular game that you are excited about?
Um, like I mentioned before, Gravenberg was aggressive in the tackles. I like that. I just hope he can be consistent at doing it. Because last season we lost so many duels in midfield. So I liked how aggressive he was in winning his duels. So I was impressed with that aspect of his game today. Like you mentioned, in Duque was also impressive for his age and him being how young he is. I also even learned he doesn't have clearance to play yet because he doesn't have work permits. So I don't know if that can be sorted before the start, but that would be a shame if he's not allowed to play first team football yet. But another one who impressed me was the what's his name? The left back. Sorry, right back.
Simikas.
Pong. Even though I
Oh,
felt Jeremy
Frimpong.
as influential, we know his best attribute is going forward. But I think in terms of hustling players down and winning the ball back, I saw him do that a few times as well. So I don't think there was many standouts in my opinion. But the first 40 minutes was a well-rounded display where everybody I thought put on a good show. It's just unfortunate that Van Dijk conceded a penalty late on in the first half. Very, 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 very soft. But yeah, that was my thoughts
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I also liked the fact that in the first half, I saw that we were very aggressive in the defense with our counter pressing. So, and we were going 1v1, we were going man for man in the counter pressing. Whenever they got the ball, we had a Liverpool player with a Monaco player to the extent that Simikas was even following his marker, even right into their own penalty area at some point. So I really like that because last season we saw on many occasions that we were playing with a +1 at the back, which didn't even help in the first place. And we kept doing it. And I didn't understand why. Liverpool normally don't do that. And even Slot himself did the man v man in his first season much often than he did last season. So I really like the fact that Simikas was going all over the place. You could see him even ending up on the right hand side of the field. And that was good to see, the fact that we were trying to match them man v man. And that is something that I think we fell a bit short in the second half. That is why we're conceding the goals that we were conceding. But moving on from that, when you look at the second half, the fact that we conceded in the second half, we've talked about fatigue creeping up in the second half. But also, do you think that there is an issue of the opponent changing their tactics, tweaking their formation a little bit, and Liverpool struggling to adjust to that change in formation from the opponent?
Yeah, I think there's definitely an element of that as well. Um, but you see, the preseason games, it is very difficult to also ascertain how much tactical changes come in the second half because we make so many changes in the second half. So at times you have been struggling to identify the 11 players that is on the pitch. You are not sure who is playing which position. So maybe we'll see that later on when the season starts, when we play a lot of games. We'll be able to identify exactly the reasons behind us not being able to perform well in second half of games. But I would put that mostly down to concentration, and the lack of concentration comes from mostly the fatigue that the players endure when they put on the shift in the first half.
Yeah. I think fatigue is the main thing. But also I felt like especially for the Leeds United game, they tweaked their system. They went man v man. They were very aggressive in their pressing, and we struggled to deal with that. So I think that is also a factor that I'm sort of looking forward to seeing how Iraola solves that problem going forward into the season. Now, away from the game, let's look at signings. So Araujo, we are told everything has been agreed. It's a season-long loan deal for Araujo to come to Liverpool.
Yeah.
And clearly, a lot of people have sort of reservations about this particular signing. What is your feeling about the deal? The fact that Liverpool are paying his full salary and all that. What do you also expect from him coming into Liverpool this season?
Okay, I think for the player, for the terms of the loan, the what we are paying his salary, I think all those things are fair. We need a player at centre back. We are desperate for it. So paying his salary, I don't have a problem with that. The loan is fine. It's a 1 year loan. It's a stopgap. If it doesn't work, he goes back. And in recent times, our loan transfers doesn't really work. And the last time, the one I can remember on top of my head is Arthur Melo. Didn't work at all. It was a disaster of a loan. So on that front, it is a good addition because it is another body in there. First of all, we have to even talk about the quantity, the number of bodies we have in our defense before we even come to the quality. So quantity wise, it is another defender in there. He's experienced. He's an international footballer. Has played at Barcelona. He has experience. He's 27 years old. He was a captain at Barcelona. So all those things, he takes it. Now we come to the quality side of it. He's a bench warmer. He's the fourth choice centre back, even when he's fit for Barcelona. This is a player that made a mistake at Stamford Bridge last year, had mental issues, had to go to Israel, all those things. All those things are question marks when you look at it and then you go, I'm not really too sure about this player. Again, you look at the mistakes he's made over recent years. He's not being able to adapt to a high intensity football, what is required by Hans Flick kind of centre back to do in terms of high line, covering large spaces, making split second decisions. That is what has been costing him under his time at Hansi Flick. When he played under Xabi, where there was limited spaces for him to defend, he actually really thrived, and that is where we saw the best of Ronald Araujo. But under Andoni Raiola, he also likes his defenders to be front-footed. We do also play a high line, not as high as Barcelona, but it is a similar sort of intensity when it comes to our fullbacks or our centre backs, putting pressure on forward players, going inside to apply pressure, all those kind of things. But I think the fact that he can cover right back as well is the one thing that makes me also look at it again and say, okay, he can play right back, he can play the centre back. So it is a good addition. But is he okay? What I would say is, if Liverpool had an ideal team where we were supposed to be challenging for the Premier League next year, I would say this would be a bad option. This would be a very bad option. But I think for me as a realistic Liverpool fan, I don't think Liverpool have what it takes to challenge for the Premier League. We could be outside contenders, no doubt. But I think for where we are now and the team that we have, you look at our centre back options, aside Van Dijk, I think anyone can make a good case for him to be comparable to any of the centre backs that we have in our team right now. So it is not an upgrade where we can look at it and say our backline is sorted. We are covered for the whole next year. Araujo is going to be a world-class addition for us. No. But I think it's a decent addition, and I just hope that he can be able to put in a good shit for us.
Okay. For me, all I can say is that it is a good deal if it works out, but if it doesn't work out, it is going to be a very, very bad deal. Given that we've known his recent struggles at Barcelona. So we'll leave it at that and hope that things are going to work out for both Liverpool and Araujo. So this is where we end our podcast on Liverpool. Stay tuned. We still have a lot more to give you. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and also share if you can. You never walk alone. See ya.